When Akash approached me to work with Scholar Strategy, he had already applied once and received all rejections. So I asked him, how many universities did you apply to? And he said four. I remember feeling utterly disappointed. I almost wanted to shout at him. I was like, why the hell would you do that, right? So, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see applicants making, that is not applying to the right number of universities. So, what is the right number and how to decide? That is what I will tell you in this quick video. So we are discussing today what is the right number of universities to apply to and how to decide. Let's talk about master's program first, and in this I mean masters in computer science, masters in any engineering program, also masters in MIS, MEM and also PhD programs. Okay, now the great thing about masters is that with one SOP you can apply to as many schools as you want. So let's say you're applying to masters in computer science. Now you can use the same SOP for Northeastern and same SOP for CMU. I mean, of course, you will customize the why this university paragraph, but 90%, 95% of it can remain same. Now let's say you're applying to multiple programs like masters in computer science and also few MIS programs. In this case, it is highly advised that you should customize the SOP for each program. But a candidate is obviously not going to apply to more than, let's say, two different kind of programs. So with one or two SOPs, you can apply to as many master's programs as you want, right? So what is a good number? For me, the good number is applied to at least 10 universities and follow what I call 3-4-3 rule. What is 3-4-3 rule? Applied to at least 3 ambitious schools, because you do want to take a shot at your dream schools, right? I remember when I applied to UIUC was a way ambitious school for me, but I'm so glad I applied, because if I hadn't, I would never have gotten a chance to study there. So remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you must always apply to at least 3 ambitious schools. Then you should apply to 4 moderately ambitious programs. These are a little safer than ambitious schools, but not guaranteed by any means. So I like to have like 4 schools in this zone and then apply to 3 safer universities. These are the programs which your chances of admissions are actually pretty high. Now always remember that this categorization of ambitious, moderately ambitious and safe will vary from profile to profile, but overall this is the general thumb rule we can use. Why should we divide the school list between these 3 categories? It's for a simple reason. If you apply to only ambitious schools, then you may not get any admit. And by the way, this has happened with some of my ambitious clients who have a good profile and they don't want to compromise. In that case, they applied too ambitiously but received all rejects. It happens because applications are a really, really subjective process. And if you apply only to safe schools, then you may have a lot of admits in similar level of schools. And at that point, I've seen many clients regretting that we wish we had applied to some higher ambitious programs also, because if we got a admit like that, that is where we would want to go, because ultimately you have to go to one school, right? So even if you have 6 safe admits, that does not really help you, right? So this is why we like to divide our universities into these 3 buckets, so that we can cover maximum ground and also maximize our chances of admits. And let me also note here that admissions and application process to universities abroad is a highly subjective process. So you will always see that even a mediocre profile might get into their ambitious school and even a very good profile might get rejected by a safe schools. So there is never a guarantee here, okay? So all we can do is maximize our chances. It's a case of probability. And that is why, just like stock market, you want to have your eggs in different basket and apply to a good number of programs to give you the comfort that at least one of them will work out. Now let's say you apply to only 4 schools like Akash did and you got all rejections. In this case, you simply don't know if your application was bad or something was wrong there, or did just competition defeat you? So it's very hard to know what's going wrong if you do not apply to enough number of schools. Also think of it like this, right? You are already spending all this time, energy, and money on the applications. You have written GRE, you have taken TOEFL or IELTS, that is significant amount of money you have spent there. You have worked with coordinated with your recommenders to get all those LORs. You have spent months to write this SOP. So applying to one additional program is not going to cost you as much, but if it can help me get more peace of mind and comfort that ultimately something is going to work out, then that's totally worth it, right? So just because you are doing all this hard work already, please apply to enough number of schools. That is my advice. Now, while I suggest 10 programs minimum, some of our clients have gone on to even apply to 15 schools. And as long as you're applying in top 150 schools in US, I don't see a problem with visa either. Visa rejections happen when they see that you applied to a lot of crappy universities, because that means that you're not really interested in the education, you just want to enter into US somehow, and that can get you rejected. But if you're applying to good schools and applying to 15 programs, that is not a red flag. You can absolutely do that. So that was about masters. My advice is to go with minimum 10 schools. I really want you guys to think about this. I have talked about school selection, what are some factors to take into consideration, and planning your whole application in our masterclass. I will leave a link below. Check it out if you are interested in that. Now let's talk about MBA, because MBA applications work very differently. MBA applications are very intensive, and each business school requires you to write multiple and different essays. For example, I was checking this year, and Chicago Booth has 2 essay questions. CMU Tepper has 1 written essay, 1 video essay, and 1 optional essay. The point is, every business school has a different requirement, different number of essays, and the essay topics are also quite different from each other. That means to apply to one more business school requires a lot more time and effort than in the case of MS applications. This is why you can't really apply to a lot of B schools. When I applied, I was able to do only 4 schools. I've seen some people applying to 5 or 6 schools as well, but beyond that, it looks really tricky to me. So now let's say you're applying to 4 to 6 schools, maximum 7 business schools. I suggest that you keep at least 2 schools in somewhat safer category, because MBA applications are also getting pretty competitive. So that was it. That was my advice for MS. Must apply to at least 10 programs, and for MBA target anywhere between 4 to 7 programs. So hope this helps, and leave your questions in the comment box below, and I will see you next week. Take care.